Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aaron Weaver, and as usual, we got to talk. This week, monumental week, not in a good way, but a monumental week nonetheless. And this is not one story. It is a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Shout out to Ashley the Baroness, because she's been saying that. And she's right. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Federal, state, local, different rooms, different laws, same decisions, same structure. Let's start with Louisiana, because the Supreme Court just ruled on voting maps. Who gets power? Who loses power? Who gets representation? And who gets erased? The issue comes down to one thing: intent versus impact. Impact is what happened. Intent is why it happened. Impact can be seen. Intent has to be proven. And that changes everything that we know. Because now, even if a system is clearly weakens the voting power of a community, that is not enough. If it can either be explained another way, politics, party lines, strategy, same outcome, different explanation, that's the shift. And Justice Kagan called it out. She said the Voting Rights Act was built to stop discriminatory results, not just intentional discrimination, because if you only look at intent, you ignore what is actually happening to the people. And this is not new, by the way. So I never want y'all to think that this is new. This is old. This is documented history. After the Civil War, after the 15th Amendment promised the right to vote, states didn't always look to block people directly. Never do it explicitly. Why would they do it explicitly? They use something else. Poll taxes, literacy tests, good character requirements, all written in neutral language. But the result was clear. Black citizens were systematically pushed out of the political process, not by what the law said, but by what the law did. And that's the part that matters. Because the rights were not given easily. They were fought for. People bled for them. People died for them. Union soldiers, civil rights marchers, generations of people risk everything just to be counted. And the Voting Rights Act was meant to be the correction, not just to stop the intent, but to stop the outcome. So when the standard shifts from impact to intent, you are not just changing legal language. Mm-mm. You are raising the barrier, as has historically always been done. You are raising the barrier on proving the very thing that the law was designed to stop. We have seen that what happens when laws are written one way and used another. But now now follow me. I'm going somewhere. Now look at Grant's Pass versus in the Supreme Court Grant Pass. The Supreme Court drew another line. Status versus conduct. Again, status versus conduct. They said you cannot criminalize being homeless, but you can criminalize sleeping outside. Same person, Same condition, same reality, different definition. Now it becomes enforceable. Justice Sotomayor said it clearly. Sleep is a biological necessity, not a crime. But under this framework, sleep becomes the violation. Now take it down one level. State level. Louisiana House Bill 211, working its way through their government right as we speak. Sleeping outside becomes a crime. First offense, fine, jail. Second offense, higher fine, more jail, harder consequences, same act. Escalating punishments. But it's always something else. It's framed as something else. Public safety, treatment, services. Now take that one level further. Local, Hampton, Virginia, my home for all my life. Same structure, but this time, 2 warnings, then enforcement, then a misdemeanor. You hear me? A misdemeanor. Up to 6 months in jail. Up to $1,000 in fines. And it is framed the exact same way. Public safety, treatment, services. But the thing that's about this one, the data does not show a growing crisis. And the behaviors being cited were already illegal. So ask the question, if the law already exists, why create another one? If the data does not support escalation, why expand enforcement? Now put all of this together. Federal sets the definitions. States write the penalties. Local enforces the structure. You see, this is how power moves. And here is the shift. The law is no longer centered on what happens. Give a darn about what happens. It is centered on how something is defined. Define it as conduct, you can punish it. You're good. Define it as politics, you can defend it. Even when the outcomes are crystal clear. That is the pattern. Status becomes conduct. Race becomes politics. Homelessness becomes camping. Survival becomes a violation. And once that happens, the law claims it is neutral. But the impact is not. Because people do not live inside legal definitions. They live inside of consequences. And the consequences are not spread evenly. They fall on the same people, the vulnerable, the poor, the unhoused, communities already carrying the weight. Not what the law says, what the law does. Not what it's called, who it hits. That is the question every time. And once you start asking that question, you start seeing the pattern everywhere. Because this does not stay at one place. It spreads like a virus, a pandemic even. Everybody knows what pandemics are now. It spreads from the Supreme Court to state legislators, to city councils. Same structure, different language, same result. Nothing changes if nobody speaks. Nothing changes if nobody pays attention. Nothing changes if nobody pushes back. We have never been a people to just lay down. Never. And this is not the moment to start. We're going to continue to learn the facts, understand the system, hold people accountable, and stay engaged. Because even though this was chosen by those that are in power right now, we ultimately have the power. We are going to be doing interviews very soon. When I say we, the people, we are going to be doing interviews for those positions of power. And what do I mean by that? Elections, midterms, not just your house, even though the full house is up, not just the house, your local, if you're in Hampton, Virginia, I'm in Hampton, Virginia, but your local, your state, your school board, all of these are the keys to your daily life, your everyday life. All of these are the most important things that we have right now because states makes the laws, especially dealing with elections. Local makes the ordinances. That's why we have people that are going to come in front of you in the next couple of months, whether that be online, whether that be in person. If they're already elected officials, look at their record. Look at how they voted. That tells you everything. Look at where their money comes from. The money will never lie to you. And I heard it. Ashley said it again. I heard it. The most honest thing in politics is the money. That's the most honest thing in politics because you see who gives. So you have a chance to make sure your school board is protected. Make sure your local city council is protected. Make sure your state government is protected. Because there was a lot of talk in Virginia, especially with the referendum. There was a lot of talk about, hating gerrymandering. Oh, gerrymandering was the baddest thing ever, which it is. Multiple things can be true at the same time. It is. But those that were saying that are the same people that had the power to pass clean anti-gerrymandering bills. But they didn't. Those that are saying that are supporters of people who are right now Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, running like bats out of hell to gerrymander the states again, using the new legal language that the Supreme Court just passed. Those same people. But what that means to us and everybody is to stay engaged, because this is not just about the law. This is about power. And we can show up. You can show up. Wherever your city is, make sure you're registered constantly. Make sure you know your precinct where you vote at. Or if if you are voting early, which is always good, make sure you know where your local precinct is. If you need mail-in voting, make sure as the day, which is, I don't have the specific day now, but whatever the day is that you can get your ballot, make sure you're requesting it that day. And and do the research on the candidates. And as soon as you get that ballot and you've done the research and you feel comfortable with the candidates that you feel like supporting, fill it out and send it in. You do not have to wait until election day to send in your mail-in ballot, even though you have that option, but don't use it because the stakes are too high. If you don't know if you're voted, you don't know if you're registered, you have any questions or anything else like that, please either message me or please message your local voter registrar. I'm going to always have links. The closer it comes to, I'm going to always have links on any video, on also the social platforms as well, to help you. Just a quick link just to go there. But make sure that you are registered if you're able to vote, and if you're able to register to vote. If you're in college, you can use your dorm room because that's your address. You use your dorm address and you can vote at wherever that your college is, the registrar or wherever your college precinct is. A lot of colleges have precincts on their campus now. Shout out to Hampton University for now having precinct in the convocation center to give those students and that community in that area, which includes the VA, they now have access to be able to vote. And last but not least, and I already released the video that said it, but I'm going to say it again here, because if you do not think your vote matters, look at all these people that are trying to restrict people from voting and gerrymander the maps. If you do not think your vote matters, why are these people doing that? To get people to not be able to vote. If every vote does not matter. That is the question. Now, if you say all candidates lie, okay. If they're already a sitting elected official, if they're running to be put back on whatever the position they are, look at their voting record. Because that's the actual facts. What you're going to see in the next couple of weeks is the marketing part of it. Marketing. They're gonna tell you all the things that they think you may want to hear or that crowd may want to hear. But what have they done? If they're unelected, so meaning if they never held a position, what have they advocated for? What have they stood for? Like me, for instance, we're just gonna use that example. Like me. I've been in front of city council for over 5 years. My positions on almost everything is out there on video. I make these videos now. So my positions, but again, I'm not an elected official, but you know how I will vote. Because 9 times out of 10, I put a video. I literally was in front of council speaking how I felt about whatever it was. So for those people who never held office, do the same thing. Or if you can't find nothing, then these are just the basic ways to help you find out and find out a candidate that may not be perfect, because no candidate is perfect. I'm going back to my this statement, the bus situation again. I'm going right back to it. Voting is just like public transportation. It's not going to be a perfect bus route that goes directly to my location, but whatever that gives me closest to where I want to go. When it comes to politicians, for me, whichever politician not only tells me, but I see their actions, and also for me, where their money comes from. They may not be perfect, but whichever one goes the way that I want to see my city, my state, or my country go. Whatever way I want to see that, that's the way I choose. You may choose different, and that's fine. But I just do not want to hear anybody ever say, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't matter. More than the people, not only because of the people who died for the right to vote or maimed, seriously hurt for the right to vote. So I just don't ever want to hear that, because a lot of the stuff that we see going on, because a lot of the stuff we see going on right now would not happen if people just came out and vote. So that's my hope. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this, because people deserve to understand what is really happening, what is really going on. And you can basically help them just by sharing. It doesn't cost anything. A like, a comment, just subscribing, reposts. All of those things are free, but all those things will help. Thank y'all for taking the time listening. God bless you, and have a great day.